Hey class, it's Miss Laiken. Welcome back to another virtual lesson plan. So today we're going to be doing a little bit of a fun activity, but we're also going to be learning at the same time. So just stay tuned, get excited, and let's get started. So we are going to be talking today about the concept of life science. So we, in the past, as fourth graders, have gone over a little bit of life science, and we have gone over it in third and second grade. However, we're going to touch upon a specific standard. That's going to be S4L1, obtain, evaluate, and communicate information about the roles of organisms and the flow of energy within an ecosystem. So more specifically, it's going to be L1A, which is develop a model to describe the roles of producers, consumers, and decomposers in a community. So one thing I want you guys to write down, and I also want you to put it in your head. I know you guys all have a piece of paper out in front of you. And what I want you to do with that on the very top is I want you to write, I can observe and develop a model to describe the roles of producers, consumers, and decomposers in a community. So I'm going to give you guys just a second to write that down, okay? Okay, perfect. So now you guys have wrote that down, and I want you guys to keep that in the back of your minds because we are going to be doing a model today that describes all of these within our community. So what I want you guys to do real quick is I want you guys to discuss with your friends what you think a consumer is, what you think a producer is, and what you think a decomposer is. So I'm going to go ahead and pause myself, and then we're going to come right back to talk as a whole group. Okay, so now that you guys have gotten a chance to discuss, I want to hear some of your guys' opinions. So what I want you guys to do is you're not going to tell me out loud, you're going to write it on your piece of paper. I want you to write below your learning target you just wrote down. I want you to write what you think a producer is, a consumer is, and a decomposer is. You're going to write one idea for each, and I'm going to give you just a minute to do so, okay? Okay, perfect. Welcome back, guys. So what we're going to start off by doing is I want to show you guys a activity, well, better yet, a model that you guys are going to be completing. So what I want you guys to do is look at my model right up here. You can see that I have different consumers, producers, and decomposers on my paper. But your guys' activity is going to be to go outside. You're going to have some clipboards. We're going to gather all of our supplies. So it's going to be clipboards, colored pencils, markers, crayons, pens, pencils, whatever you guys want to use to create these models. You're going to have a piece of white paper, just like this. And you guys are going to go outside as groups, and you guys are going to write down different things you see out in nature and what you think they would be classified as. If they would be a producer, a consumer, or a decomposer. Now, all you need to do at first is just draw your pictures of your different creations outside. So whether you see a plant outside, whether you see a goat outside, whether you out on the farm, whether you see a squirrel outside, whatever you see, you're gonna just draw it, and we're gonna come back in with it, label it, color it, and create our model, okay? So basically, before we get started with that, I want to show you guys a video. And while that video is playing, I want you guys to make a prediction. Now, this prediction is just gonna be one simple question for me, okay? I want you guys to write what you think a consumer does for the ecosystem. So you're going to make a prediction about what you think the consumer does in the ecosystem, and you want to write down one example of what a consumer does in the ecosystem for me. That is going to be on your piece of paper below the other two prompts that we have put on there. We're going to fill up that paper today. So I want you guys to keep on going. And remember, when you turn that in, at the end of the class period, you are going to get a very great grade for your participation. So I want to make sure you guys are looking through the video and doing the paper as I'd asked, because it's definitely going to reward you in the end, okay? So we're going to just take a minute to play our producers, consumers, and decomposers video. So we're going to pause me, and we're going to play that video for you guys, okay? And we'll be back. Okay, so now that you guys have made your prediction and watched your video, I want you guys to just keep that on your piece of paper for me. And like I said, we're gonna be turning it in at the end of the class. So before we get started with our activity, and we did just watch our paper. We just watched our video and we wrote down on our paper our prediction. Now we are going to go outside and take a piece of paper and write down what you see and the role in our ecosystem and if they're a living or non-living thing. Okay, so that's what you're gonna do at first. Like I said, you can draw or you can write what that animal is and then draw later. However, you need to visualize it. If you need to visualize let's say this is my bird. Let's say I need to visualize this bird as I am doing my activity outside. Then I would just draw it and write if it's a living or non-living thing. If you guys would just want to write bird or swan or goose, obviously, hopefully we're not going to see that outside. We might see a bird, but I don't think we're going to see the other two outside. Then you're gonna just draw the picture or just write down the note. Does that make sense, guys? Okay, so like I said, you're gonna create your model of what you see, and then we're gonna come inside and we're gonna color each producer, consumer, and decomposes. We're gonna color code it. And you will be able to show us your drawing at the end so we can talk about it as a class, okay? And then we're gonna move into the little more fun activities, I'd say, but this will be super fun, so just stay excited for it. Like I said, you're gonna create a drawing just like mine. So I have a producer right here. So let's say that I am gonna color in producer's blue, right? I drew my plant and now I colored it in blue. Well, now I found a consumer, which is a turtle. And let's say I want to make my turtle, because it's a consumer, orange. Now, you guys, like I said, can color it however you want. If you want it to be more realistic, what are we going to do? Green, right? But we're going to just do my consumer as orange, okay? Okay, so I can colored my consumer orange, and once I colored my consumer orange, then I know, okay, consumers are gonna be orange and producers are going to be blue. Now, let's say I wanted to do a decomposer. I have a decomposer here, and let's say I want my decomposer to be black. Then I'm gonna color in my decomposer's black, which I am just outlining mine very quickly for you guys to just see it. But let's say I'm doing that, my decomposer is gonna be black, okay? So now I am having a color coding system. And with that, I'm gonna just put myself a little code at the top. So I'm gonna say consumers equals orange. And I might put decomposers equals black. And now I might put producers equals blue. So now I have a color coding system on my paper, and this is the paper, the final product you're gonna be turning into me, okay guys? So I hope we understand that. This is gonna be up on the board for you guys outside of the video, that you guys will be able to view at a future date as you're doing it when you come back from being inside, okay? So what I want you guys to do is just grab a partner, gather all of your materials like I had told you before, but it's going to be colored pencils if you want them, crayons if you want them, markers if you want them, pencil if you want it, pens if you want it, whatever materials you want, and then you guys are all going to grab a blank sheet of paper off of the table. So I'm going to give you guys just a minute to gather all of your supplies, and then you guys are going to go outside for about 20 minutes, and we are going to be reconvening when you're done, okay? So we're going to go ahead and pause me now. Okay, so now that you guys have finished your activity, I hope it was super fun. If you enjoyed it, what I want you guys to do is just write on your paper how we felt about the activity. So if you thought it was great, you're gonna write, my activity was great. If you thought your activity wasn't as fun with a partner, you're gonna say why. Maybe you didn't enjoy who you were partnered with, and then I'll know for future labs ways that we can work with you on that, okay? So I want you to write that real quick, just one little sentence for me, okay? I'm gonna pause while we finish that. Okay, perfect. Now that you guys have wrote how you felt about the activity, just so I can go back and look at it, we're gonna talk about it as a class. So I want everyone to turn to their partner and talk to them about how they felt and what they wrote on their paper. Okay, it sounds like we got a lot of good talk going on. I hope that we did. So let's get into what we did for our activities. So if you created a piece of paper just like I did with pictures and you put whether it's a living and non-living thing, what I want you to go through is color code it, and I want you to write whether it's a decomposer, consumer, or a producer. If you only wrote just, let's say you just wrote worm, right? I want you to draw your picture, color code it, and I want you to write whether it's a living or non-living thing, okay? So we're gonna work on that for about, let's say, 30 minutes. We're gonna work on that for 30 minutes. And that 30 minutes is gonna be spent as you guys just being super quiet, and you're gonna create your model, okay? And we're gonna come back as you guys are finished and play our game, and then we're gonna wrap up, okay? So we will reconvene when you are done. Okay guys, welcome back. I really hope you guys enjoyed your activity. I can't wait to see all of them when you guys turn them in. But now it's time for the fun part, I will say. So we're gonna play a little Book It. I want you guys to get out your Chromebooks, and I want you guys to type Book It into your browser, and then we're gonna pull up a game. Okay, now that you guys have pulled up Book It, it is time to play a little review game about producers, consumers, and decomposers. So your Book It should look just like this when you click my link on Google Classroom. So I know I forgot to tell you guys that you're just gonna type in Book It, but I want you guys to do a separate browser, pull up Google Classroom. I have an assignment on there that's gonna just have a link of the Book It. So this is gonna be the Book It we are doing. It's gonna be looking like a lion and a cub. So we are going to click on that one, and it's gonna pull up our Book It. We're gonna play as a full group. It shouldn't take that long for us to complete. It's about 20 questions, and when we're finished with this review, we're gonna do a quick little ticket out the door, and it'll be time to go for the day, okay? So we are gonna pause me right now while you guys play your Book It, and we're gonna come back to it, okay? Okay, now that you guys have finished your Book It, I hope it was super fun. I hope we got a lot of review. I'm sorry I couldn't play with you, but because I'm filming on my computer, I can't play Book It with you at the same time. But I know you guys got a lot of time as a class to play and talk about it. So that is perfect, okay? So the last thing that we are going to do is we will talk about some questions as a whole group. I feel like we just need to reconvene and talk about everything that we did as a class. So the first thing I want you guys to do is talk with your friends about what you learned about consumers, producers, and decomposers, and talk as a whole group. So your whole table. I want to hear good conversations happening. Okay? After you guys come up with one statement you feel about each, you're going to write them on your paper at the very bottom. We should be reaching the bottom of the page at this point. If not, I need some more writing from you guys. Okay? So we're going to pause me, and when you guys are done, we're gonna come right back, okay? Okay, so a few questions that I hope you guys talked about are, and if not, you guys can write them down now as I talk, okay? The first one, what is the consumer's importance, okay? So what makes a consumer important? Does anybody know? Okay, so it seems like I got a lot of responses. Well, I got a lot of responses. We have a lot of opinions across all of the tables. So the consumer's importance, I want you guys to write down the importance of a consumer. Okay, we did so. Okay, so a consumer is something that coexists in the ecosystem. And the consumer is going to speak a little differently in terms of how it's working in the ecosystem. So things like consumers are going to be lions, they're going to be humans, they're going to be, on my sheet of paper, I have an octopus, they're going to be turtles. So those are going to be some examples. A crab, that's going to be examples as some consumers. So a consumer is a person or thing that eats or uses something. So if you're eating or using something, right, in the ecosystem, you're playing a big role, because let's say I'm a predator, okay? And I'm consuming everything in my path in the safari or the rainforest. I'm playing a big role to the life cycle of every living being in my safari or my forest or wherever I am, right? Okay, so the next question is, what are producers' importance? So I'm going to give you guys time to look at your sheets of paper of everything that you've wrote down, and we're going to come right back to talk about what is the producer's importance. Okay, does anybody know what the producer's importance is? I'm waiting. I'm trying to hear from all the tables. Okay, we got some really good responses. So let's talk about it together. A producer's importance is going to be the idea of an organism that is making its own food. So I'm actually looking at the presentation that I put on Google Classroom that you guys are going to be able to see and follow along with me. If I was with you, it'd be up on the smart board, okay? So the producer is an organism that is making its own food. So some examples of a producer is going to be, what do you guys see right here? What is that? That is an acorn. So a producer or an acorn is going to be making its own food. So I want you guys to keep in mind, produce is going to be make, okay? So the word produce means make or create. So I want you guys to keep in your mind, every time you see something that you think it's going to make its own food or it creates its own food, it's always going to be a producer, okay? Now, lastly, on our presentation here, a decomposer is our last question. So this question is going to be, what are decomposers important? So I want you guys to talk about it as a group, write it down, and we are going to conversate as a whole group, okay? I'm going to give you guys just 1 minute to talk about it, and then I want to hear from the groups. Okay, now that everyone has responded, we're going to talk about this one again. A decomposer is the ability to break down dead organisms into smaller particles and create new compounds. I know that's a lot of wording, but basically that just means that it is able to break down something that's already dead into smaller, tiny pieces and create something new, right? So an example of a decomposer is actually going to be this crab right here. This crab is not only a consumer, but it's also a decomposer. Another example is going to be a snail. It also has the ability to break down something and create something new. And lastly, that's my only other example. Silly Miss Laiken. But another example would just be, we'll find it on our presentation to show you guys on the board. Fungi. Fungi is another one, along with earthworms. So earthworms are another thing that can break something down and create something new, and that's how they're going to get their food. Okay, so Now that we have talked about all of these very specific science questions, I want you guys to tell me what you found outside that interests you the most. You're gonna write this on your piece of paper and you're gonna put why, and we are gonna reconvene when you're done. We'll just move on. We're not gonna talk about that one because I wanna see you guys' own unique answers. I don't wanna copy each other just in case. I want you guys to just use your brains, and I want you guys to tell me on your piece of paper, okay? So pause me and then we are gonna move on. Okay, now that you guys have wrote that down, it is just time to do our last activity, and that is gonna be our ticket out the door. So I hope you guys learned so much about consumers, producers, and decomposers. On your Google Classroom, I do have a little presentation, and it's going to just be little snapshots from the booklet. Well, actually the link of the booklet, and it's going to show the answers of everything that I just asked you question-wise, because it was on the review of your booklet and it asked you these questions specifically. So that's why I was very excited to see that you guys were able to answer those questions very well. And then I just pulled up your booklet from my Google Classroom on my computer, and that is how I referred to you those questions. So I'm very excited that we got through that very well. So the last thing is, like I said, the ticket out the door. This is going to show your knowledge from today's lesson along with other lessons, because we have, like I said, talked about a little bit of this previously. So this ticket out the door is going to be labeled consumers, producers, and decomposers on your Google Classroom. Now it's going to ask you certain questions, and what I want you guys to do is use the drop down, and it's going to say P, D, or C. Okay? So for example, the first one is going to be cows. You're going to drop down P, D, or C for cows. Now we're going to do this one together. I want you guys to go ahead, open up a new tab, go to your Google Classroom, pick this ticket out the door, and I'm going to give you 1 second to pick that for me. Okay, so we can move on and do this question together, okay? Okay, now it looks like everybody all has their ticket out the door open. So what I want you guys to do is go to the first question. It's going to say cows. Now what you're going to do is you're going to just press the drop down. It's going to be a little drop down right here. And you're going to just pull down. It's going to give you It's going to give you P, C, and D as options to drop down under choose right here, okay? Now, a cow is going to be a what? Everyone tell me. I hope we all get this one. C, right? So a cow is going to be a consumer. A cow is consuming things, and it's eating. It wants to eat everything, right? So it's the idea of eating or consuming. That is what a cow is doing. So when it comes to a cow, what you're going to do, since the right answer is consumer, you're going to use the drop down and you're going to put C. So we should all get question 1 right, I really hope. Okay, so question 1 is going to be C. Now the rest of the questions, there is going to be 10 of them. Okay, there's going to be 10 questions. I want you guys to use the drop down the same way. You're going to put C, P, or D for each of them. When you are finished, you're going to submit it to the Google Classroom, okay? Now, once you have submitted it into your Google Classroom, you can close your Chromebooks. You can either continue working on your model, or you could read one of your science books that we're currently working on, or you can choose a partner to go and work on the book it again, and you guys can do a little bit review, okay? That's the 3 things I should be seeing from you guys, okay? So thank you guys for listening to my entire virtual lesson. It was very fun. I know you guys, I can't see you guys face to face, but I just know that we had so much fun going through this. I really hope that we get all very good grades on this, because I feel like we talked and touched upon it a lot between our video and our booklet and a little bit of review and some questioning, okay? So at the end, you're going to have this turned in. You're going to have your example turned in. You're going to have your booklet participation. So if you guys participated, We wrote it down, okay? That's gonna be another grade. And then your worksheet that I had you guys fill out, that is gonna be another grade. So we are gonna have lots of opportunities for extra credit and great grades in this class today, okay? So I really hope we do great on this, and I hope you guys had a lot of fun with your activity. Bye guys, thanks for working with me.